If you work with React or JavaScript, do you know how to properly use two of the most common array methods? These two methods that I will present on this tutorial are map and filter. So to get started, I created a very basic React application using the command npx create react app space the name of my app, that in my example it is called array methods. What I did here was just creating the file constants.js inside my source folder, and inside of it I created and exported an array called breakfast items. That is, in simple words, a list of items that I can have for breakfast. So each item is represented by a JSON object that contains keys and values. For example, we have here the keys name and type, and the values apple, fruit, banana, fruit, for example. After creating this list, I can go to my app.js file and import it here so I can make use of it. I also removed all the default code that comes with React and inserted 4 blocks, as we can check below. Each of them will be one example that I will demonstrate to you. So if we run our application with the commands yarn install and yarn start, we can check in the browser that now we have the 4 examples that I mentioned. We have map by name, map by type, filter by name, and filter by type. So here is the main part of the video. Do you remember my list of breakfast items? It consists of these items: apple, banana, cornflakes, oatmeal, coffee, tea, and milk. So first example, using map. On map, I can iterate on each item of the list and perform any change that I want, or even simply take any information that is inside of it and return a completely new array without changing the original one. So let's check again the code. For the first example, what I have here is an h2 tag map by name, and inside of it, because we are using JavaScript and a variable inside, we need to have these curly braces. Inside of it, I'm referring to breakfast items, that it's my original list, and I'm calling the map function. What map function does here is it takes and iterates on each item of the original breakfast items, and also I take the index, that is the position for each of these items from the original list. We need index because when we use map in React, we need to inform a key for the component. So as I said, when we use map, we have a completely new different list as output. So I'm using return, I will return a new div element, and inside this element I have statically name, and dynamically we take item.name, and we can use whatever information we want here inside. We can simply use item.name as I suggested before, or we also can take this name and perform any action or any change that we want. In this example, I'm using 2 uppercase to make all letters capital, and I'm separating each of the letters by space dash space. So if we come to our example in the browser, we can check this behavior. For demonstration purposes, I can also change it by asterisk, and we can see that it already reflects our changes. If we also remove this join and split functions and simply transform it to uppercase, I can also check that now it only has uppercase. So map consists of taking one list, performing any action as desired for any item of this list, and we have a different list as output, and we can perform transformations on every item. Second example is map by type. Here we have a very similar behavior. We are taking and iterating each item of breakfast items, and for each of them I will take the index so I can use inside my component, and I also take each item, and inside of each item, as we can check in constants file, I have one name for each of them, so I can take the name or I can take the type to work with. On this example, I'm taking item.type, and I will also transform it to uppercase, but I can perform any change as I said in the example above. But now what we are doing, we are not taking the name anymore, but we are taking the type for each of the items. We have fruit, cereal, and drinks. Third example is very similar to the first and second one, and it's indeed a combination. But what we do here is we can search by name, and here we can search by type. So searching by name, it allows me, for example, to filter as I desire. If I want to put just AN, I find banana. If I want to EA, I find tea and oatmeal. Or even if I go crazy here, I don't find anything. So that's how filters work in React and JavaScript. So let's check the code for it. On filter by name, I have an input, that's the place where I will type my term that I want to search for. And every time on every keystroke, I trigger this handle name change function. What it does here, it takes every time I hit a new key, I take the current value and set in my state. So here I have two states, search by name term and search by type term. If I go to my first example, we are comparing here search by name term. So this is the filter function. Inside the parentheses here we receive each item that we are iterating on, and we take the name and we check with the function includes that is also native from JavaScript, but is not the scope of this video. I make a comparison to check if the current item.name includes the word that we are searching for. If it does, it returns for us a new array including only these elements that are filtered. And over this new array, I will run a map. So I will get every item of the new array, and for every item, I will return a div. Also passing the key with the index and getting the name. That's how it works in the code. Last example is very similar to the previous one, but I'm filtering by type. It means that I'm doing exactly the same, but changing name by type. I use also includes, and I get a search by type term. After generating a new array of filter elements, I will map over them, get each item, and for each item I will return a div component. Inside of it, I will dynamically have the item.type and also the item.name. If I switch now to the browser, I can check that I have the types on the left hand side and the names on the right hand side, but if I apply some filter here as double P for apple, I don't find it because I'm not searching by the name, but I'm searching for the type. So if I type fruit, I get all the elements from the list that have this type, including fruit. So the same happens with cereal. If I try to filter by cereal, if I try to filter by drink, I get all the elements that have type drink. So I'm not performing the search by name anymore. I hope you have enjoyed this small tutorial. Let me know in the comments if you also want to know other interesting array methods just like these ones.